he has been able to project his experience of coming to Judaism in a way which has influenced many others. He is an indefatigable worker for the klita, the physical and the spiritual klita of Russian Olim. At times, I have said that the latest status symbol in the United States is somebody who answers the telephone in the car and says, hold on, I have a call on the other line. Well, Professor Branover has 2 telephones in his car. And he uses both of them constantly. It gives me great pleasure to introduce to you somebody who needs no introduction, Professor Branover.
Thank you, Aaron. You mentioned very, very rightly and correctly that I think after the most moving introduction by Bartelu Rovetsky and the most moving answer and kind of a lecture of Rabbanit Silbert, any other speech sounds absolutely useless. But since you invited me and I came from Beersheba, I probably will not be able to move away without saying something. So permit me to burden you for some. I will try to keep it short. I have to say that it's a great honor and privilege for me to speak at this 3rd annual meeting, annual dinner of the alumni of Yeshiva University for a number of reasons. First of all, of course, because you honored here all those who are doing so much for Soviet Jews, for Aliyah, and definitely nothing can be more important than that, at this historical moment in the life of our entire people, in the history of our people. Secondly, because the main honoree of this evening have been Yeshivat Bnei Akiva of Beersheba, with which I have a special connection for a number of years, kind of a collaboration from time to time. I confess that because of some other commitments, maybe it's not too much in the last years. I will try to make tshuva. And of course, most important, that Rabbanit Silbert have been honored here. I doubt that I can add something to the wonderful words which have been told here about her activities, about her personality, and of course about the absolutely incredible deeds of Rav Avraham Silbert, Zichrono Livracha, whom I had the privilege to meet personally and to have quite lengthy discussions at that time. And I really don't have words to express, or it's impossible to overestimate his impact on the entire spirit of Beersheba, of the entire Negev. You can only learn from that how one person can sometimes do so much that many, many years after, unfortunately, passed away, it's still felt, and not only that people remember him, but many, many things which are going on today in Beersheba, and of course, a great part thanks to the activities of Rabbanit Silbert, but they have been initiated, and they are the continuation of what he did years ago. There is one another reason why I feel very privileged to be given the possibility to speak at this event, that my own organization, Agudat Shamir, just now, during the last few months, entered in close cooperation with a group of students and faculty of Yeshiva University in New York, arranging summer camps in a number of cities in Russia, in Leningrad, in Moscow, in Riga, Kurbyshev, and some other places. So everything, as already mentioned here, is B'hashgacha Pratit, so that's another expression of B'hashgacha Pratit. Now, all that was only an introduction, so I apologize, but I had to say it. If I would have time, I would say much more than that. I'm supposed to give a more general overview of the Aliyah and what's related to Aliyah, and maybe to try to analyze what should be done and not yet was done. Of course, I feel it very difficult to make in a very short time, and I stress again, I intend to not burden you, not to come to a situation when you will become nervous and think about the moment when I will finish. But still, please bear with me for a few minutes. Needless to say that what happened, and it was mentioned already again in several speeches this night, what happened and what is still going on is one of the greatest miracles. And it's a series of miracles because, as a matter of fact, of course, the fact that Jews are coming here and coming in such numbers, it's absolutely unbelievable. And if somebody would tell us just 5 years ago, even 3 years ago, that it ever can happen, nobody would believe. The same as if somebody would tell me 20 years ago, when I was still in Russia, that it will happen to me ever, and that I will be in Israel, and I will be dealing with absorption of tens of thousands, and the problem will be not how to get them out, but how to get them absorbed, I would never believe. But on a global scale, on a more universal scale, of course, the deterioration of the Soviet Empire is a miracle which nobody could anticipate. Even when Gorbachev came into office in the Kremlin, I remember all the big newspapers, including New York Times and all the great Sovietologists, have been telling that this leader will be even more tough and the situation will become worse and so on. That was just 6 years ago. And nevertheless it happened that imagine what impact, what influence it has on the entire world. Because for almost 70 years the world was threatened by this terrible monster, this terrible creation of the communists, of Marxists, called the Soviet Empire. Every regime in, totalitarian regimes, wherever, on all the 5 continents, have been supported and influenced by Moscow. And all the wars and all the killing, in the Soviet Union itself, more than 40 million people have been killed, among them many, unfortunately, many Jews. And suddenly it fell apart. And it fell apart without even a war, and without even a revolution, in a most peaceful way. Who could expect that? And of course, for us, again, the most important is the possibility to unite with, don't know how many, because just a few years ago, everybody told us there are 1.7 million Jews in the Soviet Union. Now we know for sure, and that's here, it is a unanimous opinion of Hebrew University, the Jewish Agency, and lehavdil, the authorities in Moscow. They all now write that there are 3.5 million Jews in the Soviet Union. And they say, well, it's a dynamic process. It only started. As a physicist, I should object it, because that's a kind of yesh me'ayin, that's creation ex nihilo, how comes? But that's a fact. When I last summer visited, first time after I left Russia 18 years ago, I visited a few cities in Russia, Riga, Leningrad, and Moscow. Well, the visit itself was for me a miracle, because I've been, 18 years ago, I've been harassed and imprisoned and many other things. Now they invited me as a guest of the government, as Academy of Science, because they want technological cooperation with the State of Israel. But when I visited, in small details, they even paid for my wife's and my ticket and hotels there. Can you believe that? So when we visited Riga, we found out that there have been, when we left, 25,000 Jews in Riga. 20,000 left, 18,000 made Aliyah, and 2,000 went elsewhere. So by all elementary laws of arithmetics, it should be 5,000 left. Birth rate, unfortunately, is very low there. We found in Riga that there are 23,000 Jews now. And I just today gave Ashgacha Pratit, somebody came from Riga and told me that today there is still more than 20,000, although from last year it's supposed that 10,000 came additional. Well, that's what's going on. So we don't know with how, but 3.5 million are already official now. So we deal with really a very substantial part of our people. And they are coming here, of course, not as Zionists and not as motivated Jews. And by saying it, I will not embarrass those few Russians who are here. I see that my new friend, Dr. Bogomolny, is a relative of the Silbert family, is already moving towards Yiddishkeit, Baruch Hashem, but very few are still. Most of them are coming because they simply escape the regimes there. And for two main reasons. First of all, the instability, and nobody knows what is going to happen tomorrow. And secondly, because there is literally nothing to buy in the stores. You know, last year, the stores have been, the shelves have been absolutely empty when we have been there. Now people are coming and say, oh, but was last year was a real Gan Eden in comparison to what's going on now. So I cannot imagine how can empty be emptier than empty, but that's a fact. And as always, Soviet reality is best reflected in jokes. Even under Stalin, Soviet population in general and Jews especially have been telling jokes. That was a kind of relief. Under Stalin it was dangerous. Thank God now it's not dangerous more, but the jokes still reflect the reality best. So just a few short jokes about the absence of any goods. It's spoken about a long, several kilometers, or if you prefer miles, long line, standing in a street, and another person comes by, and of course he takes his place in the end of the line. And then he is waiting for an hour and 2 hours and 3 hours, and nothing happens. He decides to go to the beginning of the line. He finds that the clothes is stored, and he can't understand. He asks the first person in line, what's going to happen here? He says, nothing. I went in the morning to my work, and I didn't feel good, so I stopped here to take breath, and suddenly I discovered that a line is behind me. So why did you stay here? Why didn't you go away? I'm not a fool. Once in my lifetime, I was the first in line. The other joke is about the security and what's going to happen tomorrow. You know, the anti-Gorbachevists are still very strong, and he could be removed any moment. And God forbid what will happen, and Jews are fearing that, of course. This joke says that Stalin was revived by those who are anti-perestroika. And he looked around and he investigated what's going on, and he says, you know, we have introduced immediately 3 measures. First of all, a martial law. Secondly, to shoot everyone who supported perestroika. And thirdly, we have to paint the Kremlin in blue color. And his comrades, those who revived him, say, why should we paint the Kremlin in blue color? And Stalin says, of course, I knew you will immediately agree with me on the first 2 items. So that is a very sad reality. And so they're coming here, and of course, nothing can be more sacred than to give them Yiddishkeit. But before I elaborate on that, let me just a few words about the necessity to create jobs. You know, Soviet Jews in the Soviet Union, for 70 years, they had absolutely nothing. No Torah, no yeshivot, no even business, no politics even. Only profession. Therefore, perfection in profession in physics and chemistry and medicine was the absolute only mean of self-expression. And therefore, when they come here and they don't find work in their profession, it's a disaster. And I'm sure you who work so much and come in touch with them so much, you know it perfectly. But I want to stress it again and again. What's going here on now is, of course, tragedy. You know that tragedy. You know that from November, December, the Aliyah already declined about 2 to almost 3 times. And the most important reason was even not the Gulf War, not other reasons, but the fact that so many people are writing back letters that they are unable to find jobs. And now even to find a simple job, even to sweep the streets is a problem. And I see it every day. They're coming to my office in Beersheba in dozens every day. And some are threatening, God forbid, to commit suicide if they will be held. It's a terrible tragedy going on. And late at night, when I'm going home from my office in Beersheba, I know that passing through, we have 2 gates in the campus. So if I go to the northern gate, the shomer, the guard there, will be a professor of biology. His name is Weisbord, and he is sitting there despite the fact that he had 200 published scientific papers and he had 15 PhD students whom he supervised and so on and so forth. But if I go to the northern gate, then I will find a medical doctor, an epidemiologist from Moscow, who also is jobless, and this job of guarding the university also got only temporarily. Why is it so important? Not only because it's really the highest priority for them, but if we want to give them Yiddishkeit, and we have to give them Yiddishkeit, because otherwise what it's all about, we have to first do something to give them jobs, otherwise they won't listen. Secondly, if we succeed a little bit in helping them regarding a job, we will become friends, and then everything we're saying will be trusted, and if we speak about Shabbos or Yom Tov or Kashrus or any other mitzvah, it will be a different influence on them. And maybe in addition, since here are mostly alumni of Yeshiva University is the slogan is Torah Umada, so we are speaking about Torah Umada. We have to give them Mada, Parnasah through Mada, and then they will be receptive also to Torah. And regarding giving the Torah, it is possible. Although they escaped, although they came as refugees, but definitely they are receptive. They are asking for that. We opened recently a technology center for Olim in Ofakim, and after the inauguration ceremony, the same evening, those who are working there told me, what about the library? So I told, of course, we'll buy books on engineering and physics. They say, no, we want to know who we are. Maybe we have been told you are publishing books on Jewish subjects, maybe you can bring them. The next morning, I brought a collection of books, it was a Chumash and a Siddur, and you know, paradoxically, the first books which entered this technology center have been Torah books and not engineering or physics books. And by now they are absolutely Torah, so they use those books. Another point, in Russia, after 70 years of fighting religion, the Goyim, now almost every Goy is becoming religious. And of course we have nothing to do with them, but as a background, it's important because Jews suddenly realized if 10 years ago everybody knew the slogan that religion is an opium for the people, now they realize that people around them are looking for something better, for something spiritual, so alachat kama v'chama, they being Jew, need it. So we have a lot of opportunities, and maybe it's the very last one, they are looking for schools which are perfect in teaching sciences. And I don't have to tell you that Israeli high schools are not so perfect in teaching the sciences, in mathematics and chemistry and physics. And for years and years there are discussions, endless discussions in Misrad HaChinuch, it's still not yet done. So by introducing high level of teaching in religious school, in Yeshivot Bnei Akiva, of the secular subjects, we can, and that happens already, attract many, many students from Russian families, and also by just teaching them a little bit more moralities, and it's given in regular schools, because I know that teachers from the Soviet Union are absolutely shocked when they enter a regular Beit Sefer Mamlachti, what's going on there, when you hardly can make the distinction according to the behavior of the students, who is a teacher and who is a student. They are shocked, they are not used to that. They are used that the students are getting up and the teacher enters, and they are used that the student respect the teacher and respect the parents. There have been, paradoxically, in the Soviet Union, under Stalin even, there have been some good things also, so don't neglect them. We can use them. We can use them for Torah purposes. So, what I wanted to bring here this evening, after really I felt that my speech is absolutely unnecessary, that whatever we do, first of all, that those who are not yet doing, please learn from those wonderful communities and Amutot and Yeshivat Bnei Akiva and Beersheba and Rabbanit Silver. Please try to follow them. It's absolutely vital. I think one thing we still don't appreciate. We don't appreciate how great the miracle is. Imagine that 10 years ago or 15 years ago in New York, somebody would come to those who have been rallying and have been so excited and have been shouting, let my people go, and always forgetting V'yavduni, always forgetting that they should go out to serve HaKadosh Baruch Hu. If somebody would come to them and tell them that will happen, that hundreds of thousands will come, they would say, to accomplish that, to achieve that, they would sacrifice absolutely everything. Tragically, you know, I have to say it, I'm not coming to Lekatregal Yehudim, but we have to know reality. Now, it's somehow mundane, nobody is so excited, at least when I'm coming to American Jews in America and trying to explain them how vital is the need, not only to save Soviet Jews, but to save Israel, because if we will have in Israel another 2 or 3 million Jews, it will be a different state of Israel. Security, science, technology, economy, everything. People are not so receptive. So you can be the emissaries. You can convey the message. And then, you know, HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave us more than we have been asking in our prayers. So he definitely, as always, he didn't deceive us. Let us not deceive him. And then, of course, maybe this deed will be the last deed, which according to the Rambam is necessary, and every Jew has to see it as his personal deed to bring Mashiach, to bring the final and absolute redemption. Thank you very much.